Habari gani everyone, Kuumba! Today is the 6th day of Kwanzaa and it is Kuumba, which means creativity. And the definition of Kuumba is to do always as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. So our main focus for today is going to be creativity in all of its different forms and how we can implement that into our community. So if you have been watching my other videos and you know the routine, I will have my glass of water and my plant, and we will call on the names of our African ancestors throughout history and in our family. And so we shall begin. Thurgood Marshalls, Claude McKay, the men of the Niagara Movement, the Tuskegee Airmen, the Jubilee Singers, W.E.B. Du Bois, the early founders of the UNIA, Ashe, the early founders of the NAACP, Ernest Just, Daniel Hale Williams, Benjamin Banneker, Josephine Baker, Lena Horne, Freddie Washington, Ashe, Dinah Washington, Miles Davis, Toussaint Louverture, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, George Moses Horton, Ashe, Judith Jameson, Granny, Grandma Lavinia, Emmett Till, Eric Garner, Jeremy Robinson, Michael Brown Jr., Von Derek Myers, Phyllis Wheatley, Mamie Bradley, Ashe, Yoki King, Ashe, Mary Turner, Mama Ishmima, Mama Francis, Skip, Pappy, Pee-wee, Cousin Shug, Ashe, Grandy Nanny, Bookman, Ashe, and for the hundreds and thousands of African ancestors whose names we'll never know because they lost their lives in the Great Ma'afa, we remember them now. Ashe. And with this we say the ancestors are pleased. So, today, we are going to start off with our Black business shout out. So I have two businesses, obviously mine is first, but instead of giving you my Zazzle store, I'm going to post a link to my website below so you can just look at my art because it's in line with creativity today. And the second Black business is YEYO Arts Collective. It is basically a collective of Black women, artists, and other, visual artists, dancers, various types of artists, and they gather together. They help to educate the community and promote creativity in the community. It was founded by Dale Chambers, and she is one of the most brilliant Black women I have ever met in my life. Like, she's an author, she's an organizer, her children are geniuses. Like, her daughter, I think she's like 14 or 15. That girl is a genius. So this woman is a very, very big asset to our community, and she gathers artists and supports artists. So that's my Black business shout out to her today. So go check out the YEYO Arts Collective blog spot and go look at their art and what they do for the community. And you can donate if you wish. Our Black book shout out is one of my favorite books too. It's called Black, A Celebration of Culture by Deborah Willis. So this is featuring photography of Black people throughout time, or at least since the earliest photograph you can get. Like, look, it's Ella Fitzgerald playing, I guess, ping pong. This is a good book to have on your table. It has various categories. I have had this book since I literally don't know when, 2004. So I probably got a discount on it. We used to go to expos and I would help out the vendors so I could get discounts. I was a little girl. But yes, this is the book. You will never get tired of it. There is always some type of photograph to look at. There's always some type of photograph that will mesmerize you. If you are a writer or an artist, you can use these photographs for inspiration. Our ancestral shout out for today, there's actually two. So the first one is an artist that used to stay in St. Louis. She passed away last year, and I just want to remember her. She was basically a fibers artist. She made things on silk, fabric paintings. She was so creative. She had all of these children that studied under her. She was very beneficial to the community and would just give and give and give. Her art was so beautiful. She would create images of mermaids. She literally could have been a millionaire, but she chose to help her community instead. So I would like to remember Mama Ishmima. The slideshow for today is going to be featuring artists of African descent in every type of creative activity you can think of. So you're going to see musicians, singers, dancers, visual artists. I'm going to put some of my art in there so you can see some of my art too, because I do my little writing, authors, all sorts of things. So I will post their names below in the description box. So if you have a question about who made what or who was who, you can just look in the description box. So now our topic for today, Kuumba, creativity. To do always as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And so I have my notes right here. So Kuumba, just this principle of the Nguzo Saba, was heavily instilled in me when I was in the writing group, Yari Yari, that was founded by Mama Deborah. That was the writing group I mentioned for children of African descent that had a very big impact on my life. And one of the things that she instilled in us whenever we would have a program or wherever we would go, she'd be like, Yari Yari, you have to clean up this place. We have to make it look very, very nice because we're supposed to leave this place more beautiful than when we came. And that is what we would do every single time. And as I became an adult, that principle stuck with me wherever I went. If I went to a community and I saw trash on the ground and there's a trash can near, I would throw it away. If I saw something disorganized, I would organize it. Some people call it OCD. I call it Kuumba. But Kuumba sometimes is a difficult principle to practice, especially if you are living in an environment where no matter what you do, you don't see beauty around and you don't see your beauty having some type of larger impact on the community. Whenever I go across St. Louis, I'll go to some parts of town and it'll just be pristine. The plants will be flowers. There'll be no trash on the ground. Everybody's walking around calm. You don't really see a lot of traffic. You don't really hear a lot of loud noises. It's just very peaceful. Whereas, like when I worked over Natural Bridge, that's like Natural Bridge past Grand. You got high-speed car chases. You got trash on the ground, unless whichever street you go on. Depending on what street you go on, when you're in that immediate area, you might see some things based on how the people feel about their block. So I was kind of sick of I can't go to the park. People saying, oh, don't go to the park. It's dangerous. Why can't I go to a park? I'm not afraid of my own people. Why is it wherever I go, where there is my people, it has to look just basically ratchet for real? Like some places just look straight up ratchet. I'm like, why would anybody let this house get this way? Now, sometimes it is out of their hands. Like sometimes you'll want to buy a house. You'll want to buy like an LRA house and the city will outbid you and just let the house deteriorate. And there's been citizens in the community that would have meetings like, look, we got to do something about this. We got to do something about this house next door that nobody is inhabiting. There's drugs going on in this house. There's all sorts of things going on in this house. And it's next door to mine and is bringing just bad company to my home. even though I have nothing to do with the activities involved. But, you know, what can we do? We can only do so much unless we go into politics. So the things that we can do individually, we just have to do individually. If we have a talent, we have to use that talent to the best of our ability in order to make our community a happier and better, healthier place. Sometimes I'll go down other blocks, and on the abandoned houses, there are images that artists created on the doors, on the boards that cover the doors and the windows. They'll have images of Black history. They'll have affirmations, like Better Family Life, which is on, I can't remember where it's at, but all along the walkway to Better Family Life, they have signs. And the signs say, we will support each other. We will stop killing each other. We will start loving each other. Drilling those affirmations into the residents of that community. We're always talking about we came from kings and queens. We came from a great people. And sometimes when we see an environment that isn't reflective of that, it makes us depressed. It makes us angry. We don't know what to do about it, but there is something we can do about it. It might be small, but if enough people do it, it will have a positive impact on the community. There is a group here that cleans up the parks every Saturday. There's just a group of them. They'll go with their little sticks and their trash bags and their gloves, and they'll just clean up a park. They'll put a trash can with the Black nationalist flag in the park, so that way you won't have to throw stuff on the ground. You won't have to just toss it in the grass. I guess it just comes down to a personal decision, you know? Like, you have to make a personal decision about what you want your community to look like. Your children have to play in this community. Your elders have to live in this community. Why should they move? Why should they move somewhere else to have a better living situation? That doesn't make any sense. Why is it that some parts of town look worse than the others? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's racism, but still it just doesn't make any sense to me. At some point, if we see the city isn't going to do anything, then we have to take personal responsibility. Nobody else cares about what we're doing, for real. That's why John Henrik Clarke said, you have no friends. When you have no friends, you have to be innovative. Honestly, you do. Sometimes I'll look at photographs on the internet of different Africans across the world, and they'll turn the trash into something beautiful. They'll turn plastic into shoes. They'll turn plastic and other things into baskets, into jewelry. They'll sell it and make their money. They'll repurpose things. We have to be innovative like that. I think back on Kinloch. There was a time back in Kinloch's history, they had a small schoolhouse, and it wasn't able to, I guess, to fit all of their students. It wasn't suitable for their students. So they worked very, very hard in order to get their students to a better environment. And they got a bigger schoolhouse. It might have been hand-me-down, but it was theirs. And they marched from the old schoolhouse to the bigger, better schoolhouse. Anyway, so I'm not just focused on the environment, like your physical environment. I'm talking about your community is more than where you live. Your community is your family. Your community is you. Don't you want to leave your health, your body, more beautiful and beneficial than when you came into this earth? Don't you want to leave your children more intelligent, more creative, more happier than when they came into this earth? Don't you want your career field with all of your people to be more beneficial and beautiful than when you came into this particular career field? We are very innovative people. We are game-changing people, and we have to acknowledge that. And we have to take pride in that. And with that pride, we have to do even more. It can't just be a couple of us. It can't just be like that one person in Black history. Like you'll have a book like this, or 100 great Black people. There's more than 100. There's like billions of great Black people. But do you see them? Do you see them? We have to acknowledge that. The more we acknowledge each other and what we're doing and put each other on blast for the good things that we are doing in this community, the more encouragement we will get to do more. We can't glorify the wrong things. We can't invest our time in the wrong things. When we invest our time in incorrect things, our community suffers from that, I guess, lack of time, lack of attention. We can't just be wearing all the coolest clothes and your child can't read. I've seen this before. I worked with children 13 years. You can't just go be wearing the coolest clothes and your baby, who is in 10 years old, is reading at the level of a preschooler. It's just not going to fly. That is not using Kuumba. You can't just be letting these other people bring fast food restaurants into your community, liquor stores in your community, chop sueys into your community, and letting your community's health fail. It just cannot be. You have to put your foot down sometime. And you can use that with Kuumba. Okay, there's a food desert. Let's get some chefs together, open a business so there won't be a food desert. Let's start a grocery store. Let's support each other. We can't wait on other people. That time is done. It's over. We can't wait on other people because other people aren't waiting on us. They're doing their own thing. When I go out to Chesterfield or Clayton, everything's clean. Everything's nice. There's little flowers. Nobody's really going through any stress. You don't even hear any cursing on the street. You really don't. Like every time I go there, everybody's ha 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 ha. I'm laughing. I'm carefree. That's how our community should be. That is the environment we should create for ourselves. Even if it means taking somebody aside, talking to them, counseling them. Because the community is a bunch of us united, or a bunch of us together. It is a bunch of individuals forming one thing. So you will have to go to each individual if you can, or as many as you can, and just drop some jewels in their mind. Drop some seeds in their mind. Don't wait on anybody else. Don't wait for a grant. Yari, we had no grants. Everybody loved our writing group. People be like, come perform at our church. Come perform at our church. You should get a 501c3. Mama Deborah didn't play that 501c3 stuff. She didn't play that stuff. She's like, I don't need a grant. No, my community can support me. We are important. Your children are important. Your future is important. Kuumba. So that is all I have to say for today. Tomorrow will be the last day of Kwanzaa. I am so happy and sad because I love Kwanzaa. But tomorrow, on the last day of Kwanzaa, I want you to choose your principle for the year 2019, and that will be your theme. Every year, I choose a principle, and I try to live it out. So my principle this year was Kujichagulia. You have the whole Nguzo Saba, you got unity, you got cooperative economics, you got faith, you got all of these different things. So go through the Nguzo Saba and select one to utilize for the entire year. Your task for today is to find somewhere in your community to volunteer. That is your task for today. It doesn't matter if you volunteer your time, you'd have to volunteer your time. Either volunteer or donate to something in your community that makes your community a better place. But I would promote volunteering your time because you showing up physically is more profound than money. You showing up and showing your presence is very powerful. You are more of a powerful force than money is, for real. So everybody have a happy Kwanzaa and enjoy the slideshow that I have posted. Bye-bye.